everybody and welcome. I have been meaning to make a cool, breezy, easy pair of summer linen pants for a long time. I see people wearing them and I always think, oh, how practical and comfortable that looks. And so I'm going to make that today, and the Seamwork Joss pants has especially caught my attention because there's currently a promotion going on at Seamwork. They are offering this pattern for free for the summer 2025 season, and I'm not sure how long this promotion will go on, probably until August-ish. It looks like a really interesting pattern, especially if you're looking for an easy beginner sewing pattern to make your first pair of pants with. And I'm looking for a simple, easy pattern to make, especially in linen, and this one caught my eye because the shape is very interesting. So it has a high-waisted elasticated fit at the waist, and so it is easy to sew and easy to wear. And then what's interesting is it has a wide leg shape and then a cropped ankle length. And so it's not exactly what I would have gone for first, but I have this fabric. This is a 100% linen from Sacré Coupon, which is a fabric shop in Paris, because if you're new here, hello, my name is Sarah. I am Franco-American and originally from the US, but I live and work in Paris, or in the suburbs of Paris now, or is where I live. And I love Sacré Coupon. It's one of my absolute favorite Parisian fabric shops, and I have made a whole video on my favorite Parisian fabric shops if you'd like to check that out. But this is a Celadon green 100% linen that I got from them, and I've had it in my stash for a long time, years, because I'm not entirely sure what to make with it. I was going to make a dress out of this when I first bought it online, but then it arrived. But even though it has this really beautiful bounce and bottom weight hang, it does wrinkle easily, which is normal for linen, and perfect for these pants because I'm going to be wearing them on the weekends and at home, and so I don't need something that needs to look pristine all the time. I want something casual, but it's very stiff and itchy, and I don't want it directly against my skin. And so I think that it'll work really well with this pants pattern because of the wide leg fit. I don't think that it'll be brushing up or hugging my legs in this pattern, and I think it'll probably soften with age and wear, and it'll be much more comfortable to wear in a wide leg fit. And so I'm going to make those pants. I'm not going to do a step-by-step video because this pattern is not mine and that would be an infringement of Seamwork's intellectual property. But this will be a sewing vlog and I'll show you the process of making it, and if you are interested in a step-by-step tutorial of how to make these pants, Seamwork actually has an online video course of exactly that with this pattern. And so I'll link it below if you are interested. It is free for unlimited members, and this video is not sponsored, but Seamwork has given this channel a discount link for 50% off their unlimited membership. And so if you're interested in that, I will put that below. But if not, don't worry, you can still access this pattern and the video course without being a member, and I will link those below. So I already have the pattern pieces traced out, and so I think it'll be pretty simple to make this in just a few hours. So for my version, I will not be modifying anything except the sizing for the fit. So my waist is a size 0 and my hips are a size 4, but I think I will be grading from a size 0 to a size 2 instead of a size 4, because with the size 2, I still have 3.5 inches or about 9 centimeters of ease at the hips, and I think that is entirely sufficient for a pair of wide leg pants, and it'll create a little bit more of a harmonious line instead of sort of a bumpy sort of great increase between my waist and my hips. And this is supposed to be sort of a very easy garment anyway, and so I don't think that that ease will be an issue. In any case, the seam allowances are 1.5 centimeters or 5/8 of an inch, so I'll just make sure not to trim them right away and just try the pants on before finishing the seam allowances, and that way I can always fiddle with the fit a little bit if it's too tight. And so yeah, I think I'll be able to make that up, if not in a day, then in a few hours over a day or two. And I'm excited to share that process with you. But to be honest, I have been looking for an easier project to make today because I shared in my last video that I'm going through a difficult period, and that's still ongoing, and I've started to notice that my mental state is taking a toll on my physical health, in that I'm having a hard time sleeping, my jaw is tight, I have random stomach cramps, and my main symptom is that my thoughts are just circling around in my head over and over again. And I disagree with the idea that sewing is therapy. I think that there's a lot more nuance to that. I don't think that sewing can replace therapy, but I think that sewing can be therapeutic and crafting can be therapeutic. And for me especially, concentrating on a sewing project helps me to divert my attention to something constructive that gives me confidence and makes me feel good about myself, because I'm working with my hands and not doom scrolling or thinking in circles. And so that is the purpose of this project today. I hope that doesn't bring the ambiance down, But yeah, it's been a pretty tough period, and I'm excited to get my teeth into this project, think of something else, and share this with you. I'll just have to be very strategic about how much I use my iron today because it's very hot out. It's going to get in the 90s today. And just like many other houses in Europe in general, and especially France, I do not have air conditioning. So I've aired out the house in the morning. It's as cool as it's going to get. The windows are closed. I'm in the relative dark, and I'm going to stay here. So I'm happy that you're joining me today, and let me get right to it. For supplies to make this project, you will need measuring tools, marking tools. I'll be using some chalk and heat erasable pen. Cutting tools, 1-inch wide elastic, and a universal needle. I will be using the size 90 for my linen because it's a pretty heavyweight linen. And then of course, pins. Ooh, and not to forget, also matching thread. And then I was ready to get started. Okay, so I have finished cutting out all of the pieces, and it was pretty simple. There was just a front and back piece, and then front and back waistband, and then the patch pockets, each to cut out twice. And so I have them all here already, and now I can get started. I think it starts with the patch pockets, so I'm gonna do those and apply them to the front of the pants. And yeah, hopefully this will sew up pretty quickly. It is about 2:30 now. I did take some time off to have some lunch. And the house is currently at about 77 degrees Fahrenheit. Outside it is 94. So hopefully I'll be able to keep it down in here, not use my iron too much. And yeah, I'm gonna get started. Okay, whew. It's getting hot. It's about 80 degrees inside right now, and hopefully it won't get any hotter than that. But If I look flushed, that's why. But I have finished sewing together the front pieces at the inseam and then also the back pieces here. And I have finished and pressed those seams open. Now, the instructions say to sew the front and back together at the side seams, and then to trim down and finish the seam allowances separately and then press them open. But instead, I'm going to do the instructions out of order. I'm going to sew the inner legs, or the inseams, together, and then finish those seam allowances, press them open, etc., before doing the side seams, because I don't think that it's going to bother things if I do it out of order, and also because I want the inseams sewn up before I sew up the side seams and check the fit. So I'm going to do that now, and keep hydrating. So it is now the next day. I stopped sewing after about 6 hours of sewing yesterday evening to do some other things and spend time with my husband. And I have almost finished. I just have 2 more things to do. It's finishing the waistband here and then sewing the hem. And so to finish the waistband, I have pressed the inner waistband in after understitching and then pressing the edge of the inner waistband underneath and then pinning it this way so that I can stitch in the ditch and fix the inner waistband in place. But I have placed these 2 pins here to mark where I'm going to stop and start stitching, because I want to leave a channel open to insert the elastic. And I have this 1-inch wide elastic here that I purchased. It's actually elastic for the waistband of a boxer short, is how it was sold, and I've never used it before, but it looks like it's a little bit less thick and harsh or stiff as the elastic that I usually use, so I'm hoping it'll be more comfortable around the waist. That's what I was looking for. And I have this really interesting, useful tool. It's kind of like tweezers, but with this little ring at the end to tighten. And so you insert the elastic on one end here and then tighten it, and then you pull it through your channel, and it's really, really easy. You can also use a safety pin if you don't have one of these, but they're not very expensive, and I bought one not so long ago, and it has been really useful. So especially if you make a lot of elasticated waistband clothes, this is super useful. So I'll be doing that. The way I measure waistband elastic is I put it around my waist and decide how tight or how loose I want it to be, add seam allowances, and then cut it. I don't usually go by the guidelines in the pattern, just because you can figure out the fit pretty easily just by putting it around your waist yourself, and the guidelines are just so that you buy enough of the elastic, and I like being able to handle myself how tight or how loose it is, and it's pretty easy that way. So that's what I'll be doing. And so yeah, I just need to stitch that down, finish the hem, and then I'll be done. So I have finished, let me show you. Ta-da! I'm really happy with how these turned out. I think they turned out even better than I thought that they would. I think that I was a little bit worried about how wide the legs were, because even when I was cutting out the pieces, the leg pieces seemed extra wide, but actually I really like this sort of streamlined silhouette. It doesn't seem too baggy and big, and even in this slightly stiffer linen than what they used in the pattern sample photos, I think that it looks really, really good, and I like the swish and the bounce that this linen has. And yeah, I like that the waistband that I used, or the waistband elastic that I used, is really nice and light at the waist, so it's not too stiff and it doesn't sort of rub. And the only thing is that this linen is really itchy, and so I can feel it against my legs, and on a hot day like this, it's over 100 degrees Fahrenheit outside right now, and it is 80 degrees inside. It's a little bit too warm to wear today, but I think it's gonna serve me really well for things like errands and hanging around the house, and yeah, I love it. I think that the hemline as well, I did exactly as they said. I turned it up by 1/4 of an inch and then 2 inches, and I thought that it would hit much higher, but I really like the length. I think that perhaps I'm an inch or so shorter than the model, or what they planned. I think I'm 5'5", and maybe it's for a 5'6" person or something, but I really like the way it hits. I think that it's out of the way of my shoes, and it's elegant, and it's just around my ankles. I think that it looks great. And another detail, I really like how, let me get closer, I really like how the pockets go into the side seam. I think that's really elegant. And usually I don't go for patch pockets because I think that they look a little bit too, I don't know, Raggedy Ann homemade, but I really like it in these. I think that it goes with the casual vibe of the pants, and they look really nice. So yeah, I think that maybe patch pockets and linen are a great combination, but I'm really happy with this and really pleased with how it turned out. So, let me get closer so I can say goodbye. Isn't this color just really nice? I love this color. Anyway, thank you so much for joining me for this video today. I think that it did do me some good to be enthusiastic about a project, and especially a project that, I don't know, something about this fabric just makes me really happy. I think it's the color. I think it's a new favorite color, or one of my favorite colors. And so it just made me happy seeing it around and seeing it draped everywhere. And so, yeah, I think that I'm going to cool off because it's very hot near the window here. But thank you so much for joining me today, and I hope that this was interesting for you. Don't hesitate to check out the links that I'll put below in the description with this pattern and snatch it up before it goes back to being a paying pattern or a paid pattern that costs money. And yeah, let me know if you've ever made linen pants before for the summertime or the spring or even other seasons of the year, and what kind of linen you used and what kind of patterns you enjoy making as well, just in case, because now that I've made this pair of linen pants, I want to explore the whole world of linen pants. These are great. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you are all doing well. Take care, and I will see you very soon with a new video. Bye-bye.